Good morning, guys. Unfortunately, I'm not in the official Apple branded bus like the one over there. This bus still looks fairly lovely. They've got a nice compartment up there in the front for the drivers. And we're going to Chandigarh. Chandigarh is not really, well, what I want to see in Chandigarh is not really typical of what you'd expect of India. Beautiful temples, ancient times, maybe some slums and busy streets full of rickshaws. No, I'm going there to some very modern brutalist architecture by architects like Corbusier and others. So that should be interesting. Let's hope I can find those first. Let's hope I survive this unair-conditioned bus ride to Chandigarh. Stopped at a small town bus station on the way. There's a guy over there. As usual, but also taking ramen noodles, which is somewhat unexpected. And over there, the two wonderfully old rickshaws. They look ancient and kind of look like they are welded together in some shed somewhere. It's very Mad Max. And over there on the sign, someone advertising visas to my country, to Holland. I wonder what would happen if I would apply there. Bus seems to have broken down, so instead of doing the last stretch of the road by bus, we're in this little van going to the Chandigarh station. Nice view of the road here. As the back of the van is open, see all the activities and life that happens on the street. Look at this guy with his sunglasses. Well, there we are. Chandigarh bus station is over there. We arrived over here at the rickshaw station because we didn't do the last part of the trip in the bus. We're in sector 43. Yes, this city is divided into sectors, just like another beautiful brutalist city, New Belgrade, and also just like the city of Islamabad. I didn't do a video on Islamabad, but it's also divided into sectors, and over there it's really too easy to find your way because all the sectors are named G1 or A6 and structured like pretty much like an Excel sheet, so you always know where the sector you want to go is at. Not here. We're in sector 43 and I want to go to sector 35A, I think, and it should be right next to this sector, so no logic there, but luckily we have Google Maps, so should be able to find the way. This very fancy villa over here is already in the style that I came to Chandigarh to see. Lots of very cool brutalist elements, and everything is in concrete grey with a little bit of brown details. Very fancy building. If all of Chandigarh is going to be like this, I think a better name for the city would be Oligarch. I found the first really interesting architecture of this 1966 construction of the city over here in sort of a museum campus. Well, there are toilets. I don't think they are brutalist toilets. I'd love to see what a brutalist toilet looks like one day. But there was a natural history museum over that way. Brutalist style, not super interesting, but this building right here I think is pretty fantastic, and for good reason, because this is the architecture museum of the city of Chandigarh, so it deserves a beautiful brutalist building. Of course, it's kind of a wobbly concrete veranda standing on its own on some separate concrete pillars hanging over the actual museum, which is the building you see down there below. Very cool building, but it's not the only museum that I want to show you. Over here, this is the art museum of the city of Chandigarh. I think it looks really cool, really rigid lines, really strong design, and you can see some of the art. It's actually standing outside, and it's a beautiful juxtaposition with the architectural style of the building. So let's get a little bit closer and have a look at that. From here, underneath the overhang of the building, you can see that the overhang is supported by a long colonnade of these big concrete slabs, and in front of every slab a little piece of ancient Hindu art. My Hindu gods, they're a bit rusty, so I don't recognize all of them, but I know over here I saw the elephant face, and that's Ganesh, so that one I recognize. I think it looks really cool in contrast with the tough concrete slab and then the ancient, more refined art. And on this side, I think this building is also very cool. It's the auditorium of this museum campus. It's completely windowless, looks very evil, very hardcore. You can see the beautiful shadow of this tree on the side of it there. It only has one hole in it, and that is for the door. No windows, no features, just concrete and one door. In the park next to the museum campus, I found some very interesting structures as well. This one reminds me more of Gaudi than of Le Corbusier, perhaps, but it's very cool. And over there, something a little different. They put an Eiffel Tower in this park here. I can just imagine how that conversation went. Hey, Le Corbusier, you are French, right? You have to give us an Eiffel Tower. And he probably was hesitant to put it down there because it's absolutely not his style, of course. But maybe the Indian guy then said, okay, if we don't get an Eiffel Tower, you don't get to design the city. So here it is. Well, I just completely made that story up, but perhaps that's how it went. What's very cool to see about Chandigarh is not only the main buildings like the museum and the government buildings that have this brutalist style going on. It's every building in this part of the city. Look at this stylized concrete sort of tree on the side of this building here, as well as the window designs on the front of it. They all look very cool. The building as a whole, maybe it's not the most imposing building I've ever seen, but the whole city consists of buildings like this, and that's very nice. But let's continue to the government center because they have got the most imposing buildings in all of the city. The place is called the Capitol Complex. It hosts several government buildings, and we are welcomed by this very cool looking bridge. I don't know what it is about this bridge. The design is very simple, very basic, but it looks so cool when you walk over it. Slowly, what's on the other side appears in front of you. Can't see the government buildings quite yet. Technically, I guess I'm supposed to stop for checking for the police, but there's no police around, so I guess we just have to continue. Well, I've arrived on site, and I have to say I'm really amazed by this building. Look at the colors of it. So imposing. I am not disappointed. Wow, this is the regional high court building. I love those three colored pillars over there. They are so beautiful. Look at that. Let's have a closer look. The thick protruding frames make it look a little bit like a digital honeycomb. No honeycomb structure, but it gives the image of it. And then we have the wonderful pillars. They don't cease to amaze me. And behind them you can see it's not a stairway, it's more like an ascending pathway, a walkway going up. Looks really cool with some really creative windows behind it. Very lovely. Unfortunately, we do have some security guards over here. They're a bit power drunk, so they're not letting me go in, take photos or film. Luckily, we have other buildings out here to explore, and we came just at the right time because the sun is setting, which gives them the most beautiful light they can have. Now, as a European, it's of course quite surprising to see this symbol on the side of such a hardcore concrete building. I could say, of course, it's an ancient Indian symbol of good luck, but at the same time it also feels like a rather fitting symbol for the attitude of the security guards and the bureaucrats here in India. Well, unfortunately, when I was on my way to two buildings called the Palace of Assembly and the Tower of Shadows, another man showed up who was more determined in his mission to pointlessly annoy someone. And he sent me to this building to get a permission paper. Without this permission paper I was not allowed in the complex. He also told me that this building is closed for the next 3 days. Apparently this building only exists to perpetuate the useless Indian bureaucracy. Welcome to India, I guess. So unfortunately I cannot show you the Tower of Shadows or the Palace of Assembly, but I can assure you that from a distance They look like very beautiful buildings, as does this one, but its mission is utterly useless. I hope you enjoyed the rest of my video. I did enjoy the city of Chandigarh very much, and I hope to see you next time.